ألوذ به إياك يا سندي
مولاي يا مولاي
إني ببابك قد بسطت يدي هل لي ألوذ به إلاك يا سندي.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. We ask Allah for pardon and well-being in our religious and worldly affairs. The Quran crystallizes in the heart, illuminates the spirit, and exhibits truth from beginning to end. Only believers who can sense all the beauty of the universe in a single flower and see rainstorms in a drop of water can know and understand its real countenance. With this in mind, I thought that it would be beneficial for all of us to dive into the vast ocean of the Quran during the month of the revelation of the Quran with an intention to discover some of its hidden pearls, reflect upon them, and hereby sing the hymns of praise to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Since this program has been named as the pearls of the Quran in the treasures of Ar-Rahman, let us commence right from the beginning, Surah Al-Fatiha and the very first ayah of the Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the All-Merciful, the All-Compassionate. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim are two names derived from Ar-Rahman, meaning the mercy. But Rahman has more meanings that pertain to mercy than Ar-Rahim. We can see clearly the difference between the two names if we refer to other two ayats from the Quran. The first one being from Surah Taha, Ar-Rahman ala al-Arsh istawa, the All-Merciful who has established himself on the throne, and the second one from Surah Al-Ahzab, وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا. He is all compassionate toward the believers. Allah thus mentioned the istiwa in the first ayah, which means rising over the throne, along with his name Ar-Rahman, to indicate that the mercy encompasses all of his creation. However, in the second ayah, وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا, thus encompassing the believers with his name Ar-Rahim. So, taking this into consideration, we can say that Ar-Rahman encompasses the mercy for the entire creation, whereas Ar-Rahim manifests itself for the believers in particular. For Ar-Rahman, we have come into the world, but for Ar-Rahim, we are able to use our free will to make the right preference, comprehend the marvelous works of Allah's art, understand our religion, and attain, hopefully, true and eternal happiness in Jannah. Let's move to Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 17 now. So the meaning of the ayah, they are like him who kindled the fire. However, when the fire had just lit all around him, Allah took away their light and left them in darknesses unseen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the hypocrites, and I want to draw your attention to these two expressions in particular, ذهب الله بنورهم and وتركهم في ظلمات. But in particular, I want to draw your attention to these two words, بنورهم and ظلمات. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here that Allah took away their light. ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات, and left them in darknesses. Light, which is nur, is used in singular, whereas darknesses, ظُلُمَات, in plural. One of the reasons may be that the truth which is represented by the light in this ayah is only one, and that truth is the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. On the contrary, the paths of falsehood and vanity are plenty. Therefore, the light is given in singular and darkness in plural. The next ayah that we can discuss today, it is ayah 40 from Surah Al-Baqarah. O children of Israel, remember my favor that I bestowed upon you and fulfill my covenant, so that I fulfill your covenant, and of me alone be in awe and fear. The servants of the favors are far outnumbering the servants of the true bestower of all of these favors. So Allah reminds the Israelites to recall all His bestowals upon them, and that is why He says, "Uzkuru ni'mati." So remember my favor. And now compare this address to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the true believers later in the same surah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Fadhkuruni adhkurkum." So always remember and make mention of me, that I may remember and make mention of you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't mention the believers with the reference to the favors, but rather to the bestower of the favors. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. For them to understand who is the true giver and bestower of the blessings. And finally, the last ayah for today, ayah 83 in Surah Al-Baqarah, which reads as, "And when we took a promise from the children of Israel, you shall worship none save Allah, and do good to parents in the best way possible, and to the relatives, to the orphans, and to the destitute, and speak kindly and well to the people," until the end of the ayah. Here, I would like to draw your attention to the expression وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, and speak kindly and well to the people. What may catch our attention here is that Allah doesn't say, "and speak kindly to your brethren," or "and speak kindly to the believers." The mention of people here proves the fact that the commandment of doing the acts of goodness is general for everyone, be it a believer or a disbeliever, a righteous or a wrongdoer. So these are just a very few pearls in Para 1 from the marvelous treasure of Ar-Rahman. Let us also take this opportunity to memorize a short dua from the Qur'an, and let us conclude with it. I chose this dua for today since we are going through the times when we desperately need the abundance of patience. I thought that this dua would be very relevant to be learned off by heart. The dua, or this is the ayah from Surah Al-A'raf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbana afrigh alayna sabran wa tawaffana muslimin. Our Lord, pour upon us patience and let us die as Muslims in submission to you. Ameen. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.